Good morning, everybody. My name is Aaron Harris. I am a regional director with EVERFI, and I am excited to be here today with you virtually to talk a little bit more about EVERFI and what we have to offer to you guys as family and consumer science teachers. First and foremost, obviously, would have rather been at the conference in person and gotten a chance to meet and interact with you guys as educators. But obviously, these are trying times, and I just want to say I hope that everyone is safe as possible and had a good school year and looking forward to getting back to it and whatever that might look like here in the fall. So today I want to just tell you a little bit about EVERFI, kind of what we have to offer, who we are. Some of you may be familiar with EVERFI or have even used it in your classrooms. So just kind of want to do a refresh for those of you who have done it before, and for those who have not, give you a more clear picture kind of who we are and how these things can be beneficial to you and your students. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you're not familiar with EVERFI, basically what we do is create digital resources that are free of charge so that teachers can equip students with real-world skills for success beyond the classroom. So we do work with 25,000 schools and thousands of partners who share this mission, and they're actually the ones who subsidize the cost of these programs to be put into classrooms. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like here in Arkansas in a couple of slides. So one of the really neat things about our resources is that, I just mentioned the idea of success beyond the classroom. A lot of these resources actually align to standards within FACS and FCSI, and that's really what I want to get in today. Take a little deeper dive into those, and so you can really get an idea of, again, how they can be beneficial to you in your classroom. So we do work in several different areas. Right now we have 20 different courses that span grades K through 12 with several additional offerings or course refreshes coming next year. And I will touch on most of these today, but again, financial education, health and wellness, cultural literacy, summer learning, STEM and career exploration, as well as social and emotional learning. And you may, be sitting here looking at those, listening to me, immediately thinking, several of those are things that I cover in my classes, and that's great because, again, we're going to talk a little bit about how these align and how teachers currently use them in different ways that you can potentially use them in the future, especially as we get into next fall with the whole idea of the Ready for Learning model and what we're going to have to be doing with blended learning. So I think these could definitely be very useful depending on, again, what actually ends up happening. So we've worked with 20 million learners across the U.S. and Canada for about 15 years now. 3,500 partners. Again, those are the folks who subsidize this stuff. I can't say it enough that all of this is no cost for you. Now, never, in the future, this will always not cost you anything to use with your students. 25,000 schools. We have 1,500 higher education institutions that use our programs as well, kind of in a separate side of the business. One of the really neat things I think that separates us probably from a lot of other ed tech companies is basically me and our additional support team, who's actually based in, so I live in Little Rock. I actually work out of my home office and support teachers all across Arkansas in the form of doing teacher trainings, obviously conferences, larger district trainings, but I say all that just to reinforce the fact that I'm here to support you in learning about these resources, implementing these resources, and then using them with your students. So in Arkansas, We have been here. I've been here on the ground since 1516. We've had about 520 schools participate, 158,000 students, 1,200 teachers, which are just amazing numbers, and I think really go add to the fact that these are useful. They're things that align with what you're teaching, and the usage numbers can kind of point to that. So some of the sponsors that we work with, so again, the folks who are subsidizing the cost of these programs to be put into classrooms, um, the Attorney General's office, Bank OZK, UBS, Mass Mutual, the National Football League. There are many more. I could have filled up a whole page at this point of those folks who we work with. But again, they're the ones who really believe in this mission of helping equip students with the skills they need for success now and in the future beyond the classroom. So I always like to obviously give those folks a shout out when possible. So we do also align all of this stuff to standards, all of our material to standards, and you'll see both, again, FACS and FCSI alignment here in just a little bit. But also like to point out, obviously several other CTE courses are aligned: social studies, math ELA, Jumpstart, financial literacy, and NGSS on the science side of things as well. So as we get into talking about the resources, I'll preface that with, again, we do have 20 courses, soon to be 24 in some form or fashion. And so I don't want to take all of today walking through those individual resources. What I want to do is first touch on where these resources align to standards in the subjects that you teach, quickly highlight some of them, and then actually get in and do a little bit of hands-on exploration with ones that I think really fit well, with you hopefully keeping in mind that all of these are available to you. And you'll see at the end when we get there that you can actually just add these directly to your teacher dashboard, whatever you're interested in. And we'll talk about how you get students started and all of that as well. So let's go ahead and dive in. So you can see here are our middle school resources listed. And I will say too that some of these you'll see overlap with high school as far as suggested grade levels. The grade levels are just that, they're suggested. And so what that means is this is oftentimes where we see these courses implemented, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Again, you're going to know your students much better than we ever could as EVERFI. And so we want to give you the flexibility to be able to implement the programs where they're going to be most beneficial to you and your students. So some of the ones that I have starred here that are particularly suited for FACS or FCSI here in middle school. So Future Smart, which is our financial education program for middle school. Endeavor, which is a little bit of career exploration. Character Playbook, which is SEL, character education. Honor Code, bullying prevention. And then our Healthier Me, nutrition and wellness short course, as well as mental wellness basics. We also do have obviously some high school courses, and again, you'll notice a little bit of overlap, but again, I think once we get in and look at these, you'll have an idea of how they can either fit into your middle school, high school setting, or some combination of both. And again, I will reiterate that, and I'll have my information up at the end of the session, that I do a lot of one-on-one planning sessions with teachers, especially those who are maybe in settings where they teach both middle and high school, and kind of just want to talk through how the course is set up best. So when we're looking at our high school resources, which are mostly going to be FACS related, we've got EVERFI Financial Literacy, High School Financial Education. There's Endeavor again. Keys to Your Future, which is college and career readiness. Character Playbook, Honor Code again, mental wellness basics, AlcoholEdu, which is alcohol education, and prescription drug safety as well in that health and wellness vertical. So before we get into the actual resources, I do kind of just like to take a 30,000 foot level view of this, and I think these slides will be made available to you, but if not, again, just take my information down at the end of this session, email me, and I'll send this to you. These are the standards and the EVERFI courses that fit into them. So I'm not going to read them off, but you can see in Family and Consumer Science, they cover several different standards within 2.0, 7.0, and 8.0, and the courses that relate to those there. Similarly, in FCSI, I have kind of laid out the same thing as far as where our courses fit with what standard and individual standard when we dive down a little bit. So 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 6.0, and then a little bit of 8.0 and 11.0 as well. So getting into actually looking at the resources, I thought it would be best to start with our social and emotional learning subject area, specifically Character Playbook. And so Character Playbook is basically character education. So students learn strategies around managing their emotions, communicating effectively with others, making responsible and healthy decisions. You'll see this is about 6 lessons, anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes a piece. We do suggest this, for 7th through 9th graders. But again, one of the really neat things about this is you have the opportunity to go in to your teacher dashboard and demo these courses. So this is Character Playbook. For every single EVERFI course, students have the opportunity to navigate to the module that you want them to. So it's not necessarily scaffolded where they need to go to 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want them to just go in and work on the modules that align to the standards that you teach, that's very much a possibility. So let's just click into communicating effectively. So you'll see each of our courses are set up in a similar fashion. I'm going to pause the music for a second. They're very heavily interactive, video-based, a lot of audio. Depending on where students are using these programs, headphones are a nice to have, not obviously required or mandated, but they do a lot of listening. So let's check this out and see exactly what I'm talking about.
Here's Sylvia. She's coming over in a few minutes. That's okay, right? We're not really doing anything tonight anyways.
I guess that's fine. Earlier that day, I'm glad we get to chill tonight. When was the last time we... This conversation seems off.
So one of the really nice things about these lessons as well, and I'll get in and we'll look at these a little more closely, but each lesson within each course comes with a pre and post quiz that you can actually track from your teacher dashboard. So you'll see that there was an introduction made to the topic of communicating effectively. Students go through a pre-quiz, and then they're taken into the actual lesson. And so within each lesson, students go through both guided and independent practice and then follow up with that post-quiz, which you can track from your teacher dashboard. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what Character Playbook looks like. I'm going to go back to my slides and continue through a few more courses. So Honor Code is not one that I have queued up to look at, but it's bullying prevention, 6 lessons, 10 to 15 minutes. Also very interactive. It helps students practice bullying prevention, but then also leadership skills. It actually has a capstone project with it as well that allows students to take what they've learned and put it into action within their individual school community. So you can see some of the things that are covered: identifying bullying, recognizing leadership potential in oneself, developing a sense of resilience, contributing to a positive school community, again relating back to that capstone project. So looking at health and wellness, these are a couple of courses that fit in. here FCSI, obviously for middle school. This is a very short lesson around making good exercise and nutrition choices. Mental Wellness Basics is actually sponsored in parts of the state by Walmart. Um, this course really aims at taking stigma away from the idea of mental health. So, we obviously all care a lot about physical fitness. Um, the aim of this course is to kind of do the same for mental wellness. So you can see it talks about strategies that can help you cope with challenges, symptoms and causes of mental disorders, seeking treatment for self and others, really hoping to empower students to both help themselves with their mental wellness and their peers as well. Prescription drug safety obviously covers what the topic is. Opioid stimulants and depressants. I'm actually going to go in and show you a little bit of this one. So you can see it's sponsored for the state by our Attorney General's office. 6 lessons, again covering everything from the science of addiction to understanding prescription refusal skills and more. Let's check out a module shortly.
The person can't control their cravings. Addiction is a possibility for anyone who drinks alcohol or uses a substance. The brain reacts differently to different drugs. However, there are some similarities. Of course, learning. I did well in school.
So I will mention as well, as we look at prescription drug safety, you may notice that I'm just clicking through these. That's because these are the demo courses directly from the teacher dashboard. Students will not have that option to just quickly click through the videos. They will have to actually listen, participate in the activity and then move forward within the course. So that is prescription drug safety. Moving back into some of our slides. We've also got AlcoholEdu for high school, very similar to prescription drug safety. Takes a look at things like peer pressure, underage drinking, alcohol in the brain and body, tips for talking to parents, 5 lessons, 20 to 25 minutes each. Financial capability. This is actually where EVERFI got its start. Back 10 years ago, we had just EVERFI financial literacy and have really grown, obviously, into working in several subject areas. But this relates really well to some of the back-end standards within both FACTS and FCSI. You can see here Future Smart is our middle school financial education program. It's 7 lessons between 20 and 25 minutes each. This is a really fun course for students. They play the mayor of a town where they have to help citizens with financial issues, everything from smart shopping to looking at potential careers to looking at entrepreneurship and even more. So I want to show you what this looks like. So students will first go in, they pick their mayoral character, and then they go about helping these students. So this is one of the first modules they encounter around smart shopping, where they're first having to help this young man figure out needs and wants before he can go about redecorating his room. So painting the room would be a one, obviously.
I keep oversleeping and missing the bus for school. My parents say I'm old enough to get out of bed myself, but my clock doesn't have an alarm. I do my homework at this desk to get some peace and quiet. Right now, the only pictures I have are on... Mr. Fuzzy, time to give up your spot. These curtains are all... This dinosaur blanket... I'm saving this spot for my mini fridge.
Wants are things that you would like to have, but for example, okay, back to David's room.
So you can get an idea of
Are true needs, it's still a good idea for David to prioritize his wants based on their importance.
how the student is introduced to the topic, and then they go through again and do the both guided and independent practice, um, and so that's Future Smart. And then finishing up with our high school financial education course, this is EVERFI. Again, it's kind of where we got our start. We actually just redid this course for 2019-2020. All 7 lessons are available now, 20 to 30 minutes each. You can see some of the topics covered over there: banking basics, consumer skills, managing credit and debt, several other topics as well. And I do like to give a look at this one because it is a very sharp looking course. So here is the module around consumer skills, where students are looking at buying school supplies, but doing research first online and buying them online as well.
It looks like you found 3 options, but which one is the best deal? The unit price, or the price per pencil, can help you figure out which option is the best deal. Use the calculator below to divide each price by the number of pencils in the pack. Then, insert the unit price for each pack on the left.
So you can see, again, they're being asked to put into practice what they're learning as far as smart shopping and consumer skills. One really also kind of a neat thing to note is that all of our courses do come with certifications. Um, EverFi Financial Literacy is actually a certification that's recognized by the Department of Career Ed as an industry level certification. So if your students earn these, you do have the ability to upload them. Those count towards certifications that your students can earn throughout the year. And then finishing up with college and career readiness is our Keys to Your Future course. And the one module that I really want to highlight here that actually relates to FCSI and in fact somewhat as well is the Skills to Succeed in High School module. So taking a look at that, you can see here lesson 2, preparing for high school, focusing on short-term goals like graduating from high school with strong academic skills will help you reach any goal you set in the future.
Before you learn about one of the keys to your future.
So again, in every single course, every single lesson, they're going to take that pre-assessment, going to take them into the actual lesson.
Where you want to go. One of the keys to long-term success is developing strong academic skills. Scroll or use the right arrow on your keypad to move forward toward the goal. Being successful in a career starts with graduating from high school. Graduating is about more than a diploma. It's about having the skills you need to be ready for whatever is next. You're more likely to reach a goal, such as graduating high school, when the goal is clear.
So you can see that this course
It should be specific.
This course is really set up to be able to talk about some of those soft skills as well, which become obviously very important in high school, but also very important in the idea of college and career readiness moving forward as well. So, again, I know that was a lot. Endeavor is STEM career exploration. I think I had that one highlighted as well. Not super aligned, but it is a way to allow students to do a little bit of career exploration in some different STEM areas. So some of the benefits that you as an educator receive by using EverFi courses, again, we talked a little bit about the real-time reporting on students' knowledge and growth. And so we'll look at the teacher dashboard here in just a second, and you'll be able to see what you've got as far as reports, lesson plans, offline lesson plans as well, discussion questions, access to EVERFI's growing library of digital curriculum. So any course that you want to use, you do have the availability to do so. And then student scholarship opportunities, which we run in the spring and fall, which you'll get more information about as you use the courses. So I do want to just walk you through what it looks like to actually register as a teacher. Again, I'm available to walk you through doing this. It's really quite easy. You go to everfi.net. From here, you'll click the register button, K-12 teacher, and then select Arkansas and find your school. So everybody's school should be in the system, but if not, there is a can't find your school register here. I will say, if you can't find your school, maybe try a couple of different variations of it. It should be in there. Again, if not, use the link there on the page. So once you've found your school, you create your account, basically very similar to any other account you've ever created. You'll use your school email address as your username, create a password that's 8 characters with a special character or number, cannot contain password or your first name, and then you select a course to start with. So when you select a course to start with, it's not super important which one you choose because you will be able to add additional courses once you're in. So after you've agreed to the terms of service and click next, it takes you into your teacher dashboard, which is going to look like this. And so the teacher dashboard is where you can kind of track and manage student usage of the course. The first time you log in, it will give you kind of an automated tour of the capabilities of the dashboard, where to add courses, how to register students, etc. But I'll walk through a few of those things as well. So the first and most important thing to know about the teacher dashboard is actually how to get students started. So for any EVERFI course that you want to use with students, you'll have to create a class. And if you're familiar with Google Classroom or things that are similar, you're basically creating a code which you then give to students when they register themselves to put them within your classes. So I'll show you kind of what that process looks like. You click Create Class. Let's try to reload. Okay, it's going to make me log back in. All right, let's try it again. So you click Create Class, and you'll see it's going to ask you to name your class. Most teachers go with the name of the actual subject, and then the period, and then the semester. You select a start date, a class size, and a grade level. You can enter more than one grade level if you need to. And then one of the neat things about the dashboard is that you can actually assign multiple courses to students at one time. So I know we went through several courses that align to FACS standards. So say at the beginning of the year you just want to use this as enrichment, subplans, flipped classroom, and this ready for learning model. You can actually just assign every single course to students with one code. So to do that, we've already got EVERFI. We click Add Courses. Let's say we want students to do Character Playbook. We want students to work in Keys to Your Future, Prescription for Life, as well as Mental Wellness Basics. We click Add, and you'll see that all of those courses have been added to this class. You click Create, and you are given a class code which you can then give to students as they go in and register themselves. So we'll go ahead and copy that. I don't know if we'll use it, but we might. You'll have access to every single class code that you create within your dashboard by clicking classes, and then you can click registration code there for that code. You also have the ability to see the individual codes for students. You shouldn't need these, but again, if for some reason you're looking for something and it can be a little bit confusing, just email me. You do have access to my email address at the end of this presentation, but also through the support tab. So here's that, your school's manager. So a couple of other cool things to point out about the teacher dashboard. If you look at catalog, you're given access again, which we've already touched on, to every single EVERFI course. A little bit more information about the grades, suggested grade levels, subjects, and kind of just a primer on what the course covers. And so again, you can go in and directly add those or demo them as well. So tracking student grades is done through the Reports tab. So you can click on Reports, and then once students are registered for courses, they will be listed down the left-hand side of the screen. And as they complete the post assessments, those modules will actually populate in real time. So it gives you an opportunity to be able to track and kind of monitor how students are progressing through the course. You can see how many times and timestamps of when they took the pre-assessments by clicking View under Details. Again, there's nothing available in here because this is my demo account and I don't have any students registered. But that does give you an opportunity to see how many times they've taken the pre-assessment. These reports will just show their highest score. You do have the opportunity to download as a CSV file if you're wanting to copy and paste these grades into an additional grade book. That is a nice functionality to be able to have. And so the final thing that I will point out about the teacher dashboard, two things. So you do have the ability to demo the course, which is what we're doing as we looked through some of those other courses that we covered. This again gives you opportunity to go through a fully unlocked version of the course that you're wanting to explore. So you can click through here. You can click through and kind of really get an idea of what that looks like from the student perspective. You also have access to your resources, which I touched on briefly, but these are your offline lesson plans, your curriculum guide, your discussion questions, answer keys, etc. And those are available for each course as well. So I want to also quickly show you what student registration looks like. And again, there are a couple of different options to be able to do this. So if your district uses Clever for single sign-on, and you may be familiar with that or not, we can actually integrate EVERFI with Clever so that students are pre-rostered, and so there isn't the process of having them go in and register themselves. If that's not an option, or if it sounds like too much trouble, there is a traditional registration method, which is also very easy as well. So they'll go to everfi.net. And one thing I will point out on this as well, as teachers register, I run a report at the end of every week and send student registration instructions in the form of a PDF, which have pictures and written instructions that you can just put up on your screen or send out as a Google link, again, if we're doing blended learning in the fall. So students will click register. It defaults to student learner. And so if you'll remember, we did have a code that I created earlier. So I enter that, I click next. It does ask for students to create an account. For usernames, most students will use their student email address or something that they use to log into other things, maybe a lunch number, some template that you guys have created at your school. And so once they're logged in to their student dashboard, it looks like this. And from here, students can basically just get started on the courses. It does save progress as they go in and out of the course. and so they can pick right back up where they left off. So finishing up with our slides, I will say a couple of things to be cautious or cognizant of as you get into doing this, or just a few best practices. So thinking about how and when you plan to implement the modules. Again, flipped classroom, enrichment, introduction to material, review of material, potentially capstone projects as well at the end of semesters. Review those lesson plans, discussion questions, and the vocab guides in the Teacher Resource Center. Again, I'm available to consult one-on-one in creating a plan for implementation for your classrooms. And then if we are in buildings and you don't have a classroom that has computers or devices or not one-to-one, thinking about getting access to that technology to be able to have students work on these modules. So that is all that I've got for today. You can see there is my information on the screen. Feel free to call, email, or text if you want more information, and I'm happy to set up time for us to talk a little bit more about how these might fit in your classroom for 2020-2021. Again, sorry that we couldn't be there in person, but excited to be able to share these resources with you for next school year. And please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help. Have a great rest of the summer, and hopefully look forward to working with some of you guys in the fall. Thanks. Bye.